Angelina Jolie, one of Hollywood's most unforgettable faces. A woman who captivated the world with sorrowful eyes and an ageless, icy beauty. But that beauty has never overshadowed her talent, from her Academy Award win to global blockbusters like Tomb Raider and Maleficent. To multi-million-dollar endorsement deals, Jolie has built a career that few could ever match. Her success has earned her a fortune exceeding $160 million, and for years, she lived like royalty atop the heights of Hollywood. But behind that beauty, wealth, and fame are scandals that once shook the world. The controversial kiss at the Oscars, passionate, whirlwind romances, and a divorce from Brad Pitt that reportedly cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet she endured, not only surviving the storm, but emerging stronger in one of the toughest industries on earth. Today, Angelina Jolie leads a life that could only be described as one of the most luxurious in modern cinema. Join us as we explore the shadows, the elegance, and the astonishing legacy of Angelina Jolie. If you enjoy stories like this, please remember to hit the like button. It truly helps us out, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Angelina Jolie, the name that would one day shake all of Hollywood, was once just a lost child in the cold shadows of New York, born into the spotlight, but raised among cracked walls and the silence of emotional wounds. Before she became a global icon, Angelina was simply a girl no one understood, no one protected, and no one believed would one day become a name the entire world would remember. Long before the stage lights found her, Angelina Jolie was a small figure caught between two ends of sorrow. She was born on June 4, 1975 in Los Angeles, the daughter of Oscar-winning actor Jon Voight and the gentle actress Marceline Bertrand. But what the world saw as a picture-perfect Hollywood family unraveled quickly. At just 2 years old, Angelina witnessed her father's betrayal, leaving her and her mother to move into a cramped New York apartment alone, and far from the glamour she was born into. She was a child born into fame, but raised in the dark, with little to call her own. At school, she was the outcast, tall, thin, dressed in black, and moving through life in a way no one could quite understand. The other kids mocked her. Teachers looked the other way, and as she grew older, so did the sense that she didn't belong anywhere. That pain wasn't just emotional, it became physical. Angelina has spoken openly about moments when she turned to self-harm and even contemplated ending her life as an escape. At 14, she caused a stir by choosing to live with her boyfriend. Her family objected. Society was baffled. But for Angelina, it wasn't just rebellion, it was the cry of a heart desperate to feel loved. Was it defiance, or just a lonely child screaming for connection? In her darkest days, her dreams had nothing to do with fame. What she wanted was to become a funeral director. She was fascinated by mummies, burial rituals, and the strange beauty of the eternal. While others her age dreamed of becoming models or pop stars, Angelina sought peace in the concept of death. In a world obsessed with appearances, she was drawn to the shadows. At 11, she began studying at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute, hoping acting might be her way out. But nothing came easy. She changed schools frequently. Nowhere ever felt like home. There were nights when she'd stand in front of the mirror, looking at herself and wondering, can I ever break free from this loneliness and become someone? And that question would become the beginning of everything. How does a girl so wounded, so rebellious, who once dreamed of working with the dead, go on to become one of the most powerful and magnetic figures in Hollywood? There are some roles that don't just change a career, they shape a destiny. Before she ever held an Oscar, Angelina Jolie was turned away from auditions simply for being too strange. But she proved one truth: real talent will always find the light even after you've fallen more than once. Angelina began acting as a child, but her first major turning point didn't come easily. Her lead role in Cyborg 2 1993 wasn't a commercial success, but to her, it was a way out from under the shadow of being Jon Voight's daughter. From that moment on, she never stopped pushing, auditioning, reading scripts, and learning, and every rejection only made her fight harder. In 1998, she took on the role of Gia Karangi in Gia, a character both fiery and fragile, complex and painfully alone during filming. Angelina once broke down in tears after a scene where she had to portray self-destruction, overwhelmed. She called her mother with one simple question: "Am I doing this right?" When the film aired, her Golden Globe win was the answer. Standing on that stage, clutching the award in her hand, all she could think of were the times she'd been dismissed and underestimated. She was no longer just someone people looked at sideways, she was a name Hollywood began to speak with respect. The next year, her performance as Lisa Rowe in Girl Interrupted brought her to the peak, earning her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. But success, for Angelina, never came quietly. At the 2000 Oscars, the image of her kissing her brother James Haven on the lips made headlines around the world. The backlash came fast: tabloids, talk shows, even former co-stars weighed in. Angelina didn't argue, she didn't explain, she simply stayed silent and later confided in the one person who never questioned her heart, her mother. She kept working. In 2001, Lara Croft Tomb Raider elevated her to global fame, with a $7 million paycheck and her first major endorsement deals. It was Angelina's official entry into the world of luxury, but behind the action hero image was a deeper story. At her first audition, the director told her, "You're not strong enough to be Lara." She didn't argue. She trained physically and mentally for 6 months, and when she walked onto the set, she wasn't acting. She had become Lara Croft. With over $275 million in global box office revenue, Angelina became a worldwide face. But what drew people to her wasn't just beauty or fame. It was the strength of someone who had once been broken and rose on her own. She rose from the lowest places. And now, she was living a life she once only dreamed about. That life, wealthy, private, radiant without being ostentatious, was just beginning to take shape. So, what does life look like when Angelina Jolie has everything? Living the dream without ever forgetting where she came from. But what does true luxury really look like? Nestled among the lavender hills of southern France, Chateau Miraval looks like something from a melancholy fairy tale. Valued at around $60 million, this 17th-century estate was purchased by Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt in 2008. Stone walls, gray-tiled terraces, and the small chapel where they married in 2014 once symbolized a love that seemed unbreakable. But after their marriage ended, this once private paradise became the center of a long, drawn-out legal dispute. In 2021, Angelina sold her share not for profit, but because she no longer wanted to see love decay brick by brick. Around the same time, in her search for balance post-divorce, Angelina purchased the historic DeMille estate in Los Feliz, Los Angeles, for $25 million, once owned by legendary director Cecil B. DeMille. The house carries the gravitas of old Hollywood: arched ceilings, grand glass windows, and gardens shaded by ancient olive trees. But beyond its grandeur, it was a deeply personal choice for Angelina. It wasn't just real estate, it was a place to be a mother, a quiet space to raise her children without the glare of cameras. Going even further back in memory, she quietly acquired a penthouse on New York's Upper West Side, estimated at $4 million, near Riverside Park. It was where she once lived with her mother during their hardest years. Later, when fame had found her, she bought the apartment not to live in, but to preserve a sliver of memory, a place where a young girl once sat at the window, looking out at the Hudson River, wondering, "Can I ever leave this place behind?" When she needed distance from the press, she and the children would retreat to a beachfront home in Malibu, valued around $8.5 million, modern in design, with glass walls opening to the Pacific. The living room spills out onto a wooden deck where they once shared candlelit dinners beneath the sound of the waves. It's not the most extravagant property she's owned, but it's the one she once called a place to breathe after every storm. More recently, as her son Maddox pursued college in South Korea and her diplomatic work increased, Angelina often stayed in a penthouse in London's Notting Hill, though not officially owned. The residence, rented at a value comparable to an $18.6 million property, became her base for international humanitarian efforts. In that cream-colored flat, with its vintage fireplace and a balcony overlooking the park, she often spent quiet nights reading or video calling her children. The total value of the property she has held has exceeded $120 million. But for Angelina Jolie, value has never been about the numbers. Each home is a silent chapter of her story filled with love, loss, and the kind of growth no one else could see. Angelina Jolie has never turned her garage into a display of excess, but every car she owns tells a story about how she lives, how she protects those she loves, and how she moves through a world that never stops watching. Her black Range Rover autobiography, valued around $150, 000 is the vehicle most often seen with her and her children. Tall, strong, discreet, and with room for all 6 kids. It's a quiet fortress. No paparazzi lens can pierce its tinted windows, and maybe Angelina doesn't want them to. It's not just an SUV, it's a shield, built so her children could grow up in peace. But she doesn't always stay hidden, for private film screenings or confidential UN meetings. She chooses the Jaguar XJ, a British sedan worth roughly $120,000 with an engine that hums like a whisper. It's not a car for showing off, it's for those who know where they're going, and why. A woman who's endured scandal, loss, and global attention doesn't need a car to prove anything, she just needs silence and respect. More uniquely, there's her BMW Hydrogen 7, a limited production hybrid built for environmental responsibility. She used it during UN humanitarian missions, as a way of aligning her personal image with a commitment to sustainability. It's valued at up to $250,000, but its real worth lies in the message it carries. Few know she also used a Chevrolet Suburban during the filming of Salt 2010, a vehicle often used by the FBI and action crews. Not flashy, not elegant, but extremely practical, just like Angelina's approach to life, never for show, always with purpose. No Ferraris, no Lamborghinis, no Bugattis in her garage. But every car she drives is a reflection of her essence, powerful, private, and completely independent. In Angelina Jolie's world, the steering wheel isn't just for turning left or right, it's for keeping the heart on course. Most people assume a Hollywood star like Angelina Jolie lives amid endless parties, red carpets, and camera flashes. But in truth, her life is far quieter. She doesn't live to be noticed, she lives to hold on to something that's becoming rare in this world: depth. Rather than appearing on social media, Angelina spends most of her time at home with her children or in humanitarian meetings with UNHCR. Her home doesn't have a noisy game room but a light-filled library, lined with books on history, philosophy, medicine, and ancient cultures. It's not simplicity born of lack, it's the choice of someone who's had it all and understands what's left when the spotlight fades. Elegance is an attitude, not an outfit. When Angelina walks the red carpet, she doesn't chase trends, she wears stillness and makes the world fall silent. Her go-to gowns are timeless black velvet by Versace, white satin from Ralph and Russo, or high-slit silk dresses by Atelier Versace draped over her frame like they were made for a modern goddess. Her preferred colors: black, white, nude, and occasionally deep crimson, not to stand out, but to highlight a beauty that's never bound by time. Accessories are never loud, just a quiet statement: teardrop diamond earrings, a single stone ring, a delicate pearl bracelet. Each piece is iconic not for its price, but for what it says about her: understated, thoughtful, and never trying to impress. Though she has access to every luxury brand in the world, her wardrobe centers around timeless pieces from Versace, Saint Laurent, and Max Mara, chosen for one reason only: they outlast trends. Self-care is a form of meditation. Even in her 50s, Angelina Jolie maintains a grace and quiet intensity that fills a room, not through surgery or technology, but through discipline and awareness. She begins each day with warm lemon water and 30 minutes of yoga in the garden. Breakfast is simple oatmeal, flaxseed, berries, and white tea, a plan created by a personal nutritionist to support her skin, hair, and immune system. For her, caring for the body isn't about staying young, it's about staying strong and alert for what truly matters. She uses organic products, avoids makeup when unnecessary, and prefers skincare made from natural oils. On set, she carries a small pouch with lip balm, rosewater mist, and chamomile oil to soothe her skin during long shoots. Her hair routine is just as consistent: loose or in a low bun, clean, elegant, never out of style. It's a discipline of restraint, the mark of a woman who knows she doesn't have to constantly reinvent herself to be seen. Can a star shine brighter after weathering real-life storms? Angelina Jolie has never been easy to define. She defied nearly every Hollywood norm, even when the cost was relentless scrutiny and harsh criticism. At the 2000 Academy Awards, the moment she stepped onto the stage, eyes sparkling, Oscar in hand, should have marked the pinnacle of her career, but within hours, headlines told a different story. She had kissed her brother, James Haven, on the lips in front of the cameras. The photo went viral instantly, and a media firestorm followed. People called her strange, some even questioned the nature of their relationship, but Angelina didn't launch into lengthy explanations. She quietly explained that it had been an emotional moment. Her mother had just undergone major surgery that same day, and both she and James were carrying a deep, shared fear. After the ceremony, she didn't attend the after-parties. She went home and spent hours at her mother's bedside. She knew the world didn't need a justification, but her mother needed her presence, and that's what she chose. The scandals didn't stop there. Her relationship with model Jenny Shimizu stunned the press, marking the first time a rising Hollywood actress openly acknowledged a same-sex relationship. But Angelina never tried to hide it. She once said, "I fall in love with people, not with their gender, in a world still clinging to prejudice." She chose honesty and accepted the cost that came with it. Her 3 marriages also left behind many questions and many scars. With Johnny Lee Miller, it was youthful love, intense, innocent, and quietly ended. With Billy Bob Thornton, it was wild and impulsive. They famously wore vials of each other's blood around their necks as a symbol of reckless devotion. But that same intensity burned too hot and ended just as quickly. From passionate love to sudden separation, Angelina lived through every emotion a heart can bear. But no relationship captured the world's attention like her romance with Brad Pitt. They met while filming Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2005 and were quickly swept up in a whirlwind of tabloid speculation. When Brad divorced Jennifer Aniston, Angelina was labeled the other woman, though she never confirmed when their relationship actually began. They married at Chateau Miraval, raised 6 children, and were once seen as Hollywood's royal family. But in 2016, Jolie filed for divorce, and what followed was a long custody battle and a property dispute reportedly worth $600 million. Through the media chaos, she remained silent. Only her lawyers spoke for her. She chose to focus on the only thing that mattered: protecting her children. The most defining moment in her life wasn't a romantic scandal. It was 2013 when she publicly revealed her decision to undergo a preventive double mastectomy after testing positive for the BRCA1 gene 2 years later. She also had her ovaries and fallopian tubes removed. That decision likely saved her life and inspired millions of women across the globe. From beauty icon to a symbol of courage, Angelina Jolie's greatest strength lies not in how she looks, but in what she chooses to stand for. What makes a star unforgettable in the memories of millions? Perhaps it isn't the spotlight, but compassion. After all the highs and lows, Angelina Jolie chose a path few dare to follow, stepping away from the cameras, turning down blockbuster roles, and walking into places where the media no longer follows. She became a special envoy for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees (UNHCR), traveling to over 60 countries, from refugee camps in Syria to war-torn regions of Iraq, from the deserts of East Africa to the frozen mountains of Afghanistan. She didn't go to pose for photos, she went for the truth, for the people who had no voice, and from that commitment, the Jolie Pitt Foundation was born, funding more than 20 schools across the Middle East and Africa, helping thousands of children, especially girls, gain access to education, to safety, and to the right to dream. A girl who once felt alone in school became a guide for children who have never known what safety even means. Angelina's influence doesn't lie in the number of films she's made. It lies in how she made art and humanitarian work exist within one person. In 2021, she was named the 2nd most admired woman in the world. And by 2024, she and her daughter Vivian co-produced the Broadway musical The Outsiders, which won Best New Musical. It wasn't just a production, it was a handshake across generations from a mother once misunderstood to a daughter learning how to tell the stories the world has forgotten. Angelina Jolie never set out to be a role model, but by living truthfully and with conviction, she became a symbol of courage, compassion, and unconditional motherhood. She has taught us that no matter how dark the past may be, as long as there's still light inside, we can help guide others. She didn't just leave behind roles. She left behind a way of life graceful, honest, and never in need of anyone's approval to be right.